Owen's Treats. Yesterday I went apple picking with my family, and I remembered a recipe that I did years ago, and I made a rose apple pie, and I had a caramel glaze over it. So that's what I'm going to be making today. Make sure you wash and then dry your apples before. So for this recipe, you'll need 4 apples, 1/4 of a teaspoon of both nutmeg and ground cinnamon. Then you'll need 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar. You'll need another 1/2 cup of white sugar. You'll need 1/4 cup of heavy cream, a 1 1/4 cup of flour, about a tablespoon of salt in here. So a cup of water. You won't need to use all of it though. 1/3 cup of butter. You're going to need a small saucepan, the smallest size you can get, 1 small mixing bowl, and you're going to need a deep small bowl. Then you're going to need a cutting board and a knife. Use the smallest knife, and make sure you have a parent guardian around if you don't feel safe or you're not handy with a knife. I'm okay though, I got my mom in the other room. And then I have a fork. Then you're going to need some tin foil. And you're going to need a medium shallow bowl. Now we can get started. Okay, now that we're all cleaned up and we got our workspace all clear, because we're going to be handling knives, so you want enough workspace where you feel comfortable, where you don't want to get cut. We're going to need to cut the apple one way, another way, another way, another way, so basically into like quarters. So we have one side of each apple, and then we're going to put the core out, and after we got this all done, I cut out the sides of the apple, so now we just have the core. We can throw this away, or I'm going to use this for compost for my garden, because I'm a gardening person. I'm going to cut them very thin. I just finished cutting all my apples, so we have all the apple slices here, and we want them really thinly cut. All that juice and excess stuff will flow to the bottom, and it'll be replaced with the sugars and the spices that we have. Nutmeg and cinnamon. We're going to combine it into this bowl. And then we're going to take our brown sugar. We're going to take our white sugar. Get that all mixed together. Okay, after it's all combined, then we want to pour it over our apples. We're going to mix our apple and cinnamon sugar all together. Now the apples are going to absorb all this, and you're going to leave a liquid at the bottom. And that liquid is what we're going to make our caramel sauce. We're going to set this aside, and this will be set aside for 30 minutes so everything can emulsify. Now this pie crust is going to take a little bit, so make sure you have your hands washed and you're ready. What we want to do is we want to put our salt and flour mixture into the bowl. This is the shallow bowl, remember. That aside, and then you want to put your butter inside there too, with the other butter. And you kind of just want to break your butter apart. This butter serves as our fat, and this is what makes the dough flaky and crumbly and nice and chewy. Also, you have to make sure that your butter is completely cold during this. And then what we want to do is pinch our butter and flour mixture and just drop it. Pinch and drop. Now, when this is happening, your butter and flour mixture should start to turn a different color. That's going to take 5 to 10 minutes. So now that we got our mixture done, we kind of just want to fold it over. Make sure that there's no stray butter pieces around. If so, pinch them and break them apart. And next we're going to move on to our water. Now you don't need to use the whole cup of water, and you want to add it slowly at a time. So you want to do about a tablespoon of water while mixing. So that should be good, and just mix that together. You want to keep adding a tablespoon of water until the dough is put together or is not dry anymore. Now this should be perfect. You want to take this out. Because next what we want to do is roll out our dough. I also have my pie tin here. Keep it off to the side. Make sure you have it next to you. Because when the dough is finished, you want to have that next to you. So next we're going to take our dough out. Kind of put it into a nice little ball. As best as you can. Press it down with the palm of your hand. And you want to start rolling it out. Don't worry if your dough's starting to crack on the sides. What you can do is just neatly put that together around. While you're shaping, don't do it after you're done, because then you have to re-roll. Want to put a rolling pin to the side? Don't roll into frame. I cannot speak today. So now that's more after you can see it from all the sides, that it's all completely done. So you can see that it's bigger than the pan, and that's what you want. So after you see that from all sides, then you know you can start putting it on top of your pan. I want to make sure that your pie crust is fitting to all the edges. So you just kind of want to make sure that there's no air bubbles, no air pockets. It touches corner to corner, no problem. And then next we're going to do a thing called fluting. Or I just call like the pinching. And then the sides all nice. And your pie not go all the way around, and that's totally fine. Here. Now you got a nice good pie crust. Out. We're going to take our fork or a clean fork, any kind of fork, just a fork. We're going to poke holes at the bottom. Now what this does is that this has, with any air bubbles that's underneath, when baking, does not come up. Also, this is a good time to preheat your oven to 375. And this pie will bake for an hour, covered with tin foil, we have, and then uncovered for the other 30 minutes. After we have our holes all poked in, like this, set this aside, and then we go to this bowl. And now that we have another bowl, all we're going to do is squeeze out all the juice, or excess juice, inside these apples. Make sure not to squeeze too hard where it breaks the apples. Just enough where you can get any excess juice out. Now I repeat, do not throw this out or drain it. Set that aside and watch it. Just wipe up the bottom of the table here. This mixture is very sticky, so make sure you have to wipe it up with a wet paper towel, and that's what I have here on the side. Now you want to put in your dish over, your apple slices, and then this is what we call layering. We take one apple, and we put it on the side, we press it in a little bit, and we continue. It'll be overlapping a little bit. So I'll make the first layer, then I'll show you guys, and then we're going to continue that. Then I'll show you what our finished product will look like, or is going to look like, after I'm done. This is the lengthy process, just like cutting the apple slices. You want to take your time because this is what you're going to be presenting or eating with, so. You can put the whiter slices, if you want, you can nitpick and get the whiter slices on the outside, and do the thinner slices on the inside. That doesn't really matter, just try to get as many apple slices in as possible. And then what I like to do is save one really thin one. You want to just save that off to the side like on a paper towel. So, we are finished! All our hard work went into this beautiful rose apple pie. It looks amazing, doesn't it? Now we're going to cover this in tin foil and then we're going to put it in the oven for 30 minutes. Then we're going to uncover it for another 10 minutes. While that's happening, we're gonna work on our sauce. So let's put this in the oven. Alright, so now we're on the stove top. Now we're gonna make our caramel sauce. Our heavy whipped cream. We got our excess sauce from our bowl of apples. You wanna have this over the heat. You wanna take a spatula and you just wanna start on low. You wanna keep it on low. And then while this starts to simmer, then we're gonna add our whipped cream in, heavy whipped cream. So this is gonna take a little bit. So you can have it between 2 and low on the stovetop. You want to completely mix it because there's going to be some brown sugar and white sugar and all the sauce at the bottom. So that's what you kind of want to do beforehand. Sauce is starting to simmer, or a little thing, so we're going to let it simmer for a little bit more. And once after you stir it, and it just continuously starts to simmer, then we're going to pour our heavy whipped cream in. I want to mix that all in. Now what happens is that this solidifies and turns into almost like a sauce texture, and that's when you want to take it off the heat. So my sauce is finished, and while it's cooling it gets way stickier. You can see that dripping more solidified now. So we're going to put our spatula to the side, and then we're going to pour it into like a mug or anything. Now that we have our sauce finished, we're going to set this aside and let it cool while our pie finishes. Our apple pie is finally out of the oven. It looks amazing. It looks so delicious. So now we're going to pour our glaze over it. You can save some of it for your own.